Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gandhi. Here's a look at what's lined up for you on the show tonight. Let's get started. Is hypocrisy the new American policy? Tonight on Gravitas, we tell you all about a travel advisory put out by the US Department of State warning Americans against visiting certain parts of India and why this advisory reeks of hypocrisy. That's our top story tonight. Coming up shortly, and here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight on Gravitas. What was on the Trump shooter's mind ahead of the assassination bid? We get the complete lowdown as to what the FBI investigation has found. China has started work on an Afghanistan copper mine. We tell you all about why this is significant and what it means for the region. Does your body composition affect the risk for dementia or Parkinson's disease? We tell you all that you need to know. All this and more coming up tonight on Gravitas. Stay with us. Is hypocrisy the new American policy? Tonight on Gravitas, we tell you all about a travel advisory put out by the US Department of State. This one. The US is warning Americans against visiting certain parts of India. Which all? Kashmir to begin with. The advisory reads, and I'm quoting here, terrorist attacks and violent civil unrest are possible in the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Do not travel there. Quick question. Is this an example of the American policy going haywire in the absence of a strong leadership? Have partisan officials started letting their biases become state policy? You see, today's Kashmir is a tourism hub. Over 10 million tourists visited Jammu and Kashmir in the first 6 months of this year. This is a record number, by the way. If Kashmir was really a risky place to visit, then over 10 million people must have voluntarily risked their lives, right? How is that possible? Here's another question for the American officials sitting in Washington. Were you following the recent Lok Sabha elections in India? I'm sure you were. How is it then that you did not see the people in Jammu and Kashmir voting in record numbers? Jammu and Kashmir witnessed its highest poll participation in 35 years. I am talking about a combined voter turnout of 58.46%. Is this what civil unrest looks like? Today's Jammu and Kashmir has no space for civil unrest because there is tourism, there are jobs, there are opportunities, there is democracy. Sure, recently there have been cases of terror attacks, but they have been limited to certain regions. Also, they are all cases of cross-border terror. I repeat, cross-border terror. It's not civil unrest. These are Pakistani terrorists who have been trying very hard to create unrest in India. So, do American officials not know the difference between cross-border terrorism and civil unrest? Civil unrest is what happened in the United States of America following the murder of George Floyd. Floyd was a 46-year-old man of color. He was arrested by the American police in Minneapolis. An officer, remember, knelt on Floyd's neck for over 9 minutes. Floyd died. Have a look at what followed. Protests that began in Minneapolis spread across the United States. There was looting, arson, violence. A police precinct was burnt. Cars were torched in Los Angeles and Atlanta. The U.S. had to activate the National Guard in at least 28 states. I'll give you another example of civil unrest. The 6th of January, 2021. The U.S. Capitol building was attacked by a mob. This mob was trying to prevent the certification of the U.S. presidential elections. The rioters tried to interfere in the peaceful transfer of power. They tried to attack democratically elected lawmakers. Many were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." This, dear officials of the State Department, is what civil unrest looks like. What's happening in your country is civil unrest. What's happening in Kashmir is progress. Yet, for some reason, the State Department is finding it hard to open its blindfold. Look at what else the advisory says. I'm quoting, "Violence happens sporadically in this area and is common along the line of control between India and Pakistan. It also occurs in tourist spots in the Kashmir Valley, Srinagar, Gulmarg, Pahalgam." When was the last time you heard of violence in Gulmarg or Pahalgam? I'm sure you must have heard about these places with regard to the fact that the hotels there are completely sold out and flights connecting to these places are overbooked. And I'm not making this up. This summer, so many tourists visited Gulmarg and Pahalgam that it was hard to get a local taxi for hire. They were all booked out. So the question is, why don't the US officials dial some of these tourists and ask them if they felt unsafe in these spots while taking a shikara ride in Srinagar's Dal Lake or while queuing up for Gulmarg's gondola? Dial an American tourist who traveled to these parts of India recently. Chances are she will tell you that she has felt much safer in India than back home in the US. Because it is in the US where the right to life is often compromised in order to uphold the archaic Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. In 23 of 27 Gallup surveys conducted since 1993, at least 60% of American adults have said that crime in their country is increasing year on year. What is the US trying to do to make its people feel safer? When a black woman in Illinois felt unsafe at home and called the cops ended up killing her instead. Sonia Massey was all of 36. She was killed by a white male officer.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Drop.
As per a research survey, 58% of American adults feel that or believe that reducing crime should be a top priority for the president and the Congress to address this year. Look at what the Americans are being greeted with instead: a crumbling government and partisan officials making knee-jerk statements. In the advisory, the country's summary for India, for example, reads, and I'm quoting again, Indian authorities report that rape is one of the fastest growing crimes in India. Violent crime such as sexual assault has happened at tourist sites and other locations. Terrorists may attack with little or no warning. They target tourist locations, transportation hubs, markets or shopping malls, and government facilities, quote unquote. There is also a level 4 or do not travel advisory for parts of central and east India. The State Department names Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal and Odisha. The document cites threat from Maoists in this area. A level 4 advisory, by the way, has also been issued for Manipur. What's more, all of Northeast has been placed under reconsider travel category. The document reads, and I'm quoting here, ethnic insurgent groups occasionally commit acts of violence in parts of the Northeast. How should India react to this travel advisory? Should New Delhi also come up with a tit-for-tat advisory? Why not? Unlike the US, India would have solid numbers to back its advisory. The only problem is how many American states will India name, because it is hard to find a place in America where a person really feels safe. In New York, you have drugged zombies roaming the streets. In Nevada, concert goers and children are shot dead by armed terrorists. This year alone, schools have been attacked in Washington, Missouri, Georgia, Wisconsin, Texas, Carolina, New York, Delaware, Texas, Massachusetts, Carolina. It's a long list. It would take me another minute or two to just go through this year's list. Churches are attacked in some states, synagogues in some other. Thousands of people die of gun violence in the US every year. Washington, D.C., like Donald Trump admits, has become one of the most unsafe places in America. This is a country where even a former president is not safe. But the US wants to lie about India. Sure, America is well within its rights to issue a travel advisory, be it with regard to India or Indonesia, but does a basic fact check not matter? That's my limited point here. Tonight, we are uncovering the real truth about the Dhaka unrest. As internet services slowly return in Bangladesh, the world is seeing more of what truly transpired over the past week. The violence, the chaos, the crackdown. Have a look at this. A man appearing to be from Bangladesh police takes aim, a shot is fired, the man reloads his gun, another shot is fired. Next, we see a crowd fleeing for safety, running helter-skelter. Let's now move on to another piece of footage. Two men, presumably from the Bangladesh police, can be seen shooting from a pellet shotgun. A few seconds later, a man atop an armored vehicle can be seen firing in the same direction. In the background, the crowd can be seen running in all directions. A few men, maybe protesters, brave enough to be enduring the chaos. What really happened during this clampdown remains to be ascertained, but these images do tell a grim tale of what really happened while the internet was shut down. Fast forward to today and we see a calmer Dhaka. Armored vehicles and heavy police presence remain on the ground. Remember, the unrest stems from deep-seated anger over a quota system. 56% of government jobs reserved for certain groups, including 30% for the descendants of 1971 freedom fighters. Remember, on Sunday, the Bangladesh Supreme Court scaled this down, reserving 7% quota for the descendants of 1971 freedom fighters. The death toll is staggering and uncertain. International news reports suggest over 200 deaths, but conflicting reports saying that it is a gross underestimate. The UN rights chief has called on Bangladesh to urgently disclose the details of last week's crackdown on protests amid accounts of horrific violence, calling for an impartial, independent and transparent investigation. Volker Turk said in a statement, and I'm quoting here, "We understand that many people were subjected to violent attacks by groups reportedly affiliated with the government, and no effort was made to protect them," quote unquote. The question is, what does this mean for the average Bangladeshi? The protests and curfews have been devastating, to say the least. The shutdown hit the ready-made garment sector the hardest, responsible for over 80% of the country's $50 billion export earnings. The industry experts estimating the sector suffered $150 million in losses per day, and steel makers over $100 million cumulatively. The disruption did not stop there, of course. The pharmaceutical production and distribution was severely impacted as medicine makers could not get raw materials from the Chattogram port and Dhaka airport. E-commerce and other sectors faced losses of at least $5 million in revenue per day, and call centers lost $3 million daily. Even the government has been reeling from the economic impact of the protest, with Dhaka South City Corporation estimating losses around 10 crore taka due to vandalism and arson. The Bangladesh Railway will not resume operations until the situation completely improves, as stated by the Railways Minister there. On Sunday, protesters issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the government. Remember, they demanded a public apology from Sheikh Hasina for the violence, the restoration of internet services, also the reopening of campuses. They also called for the resignation of certain ministers and university officials and the dismissal of police officers involved in the violence. The protesters' next move remains uncertain. Will the protests resume? What happens next? All eyes are on Dhaka. The 13th of July, the day Americans watched in horror as former President Donald Trump was shot at during a rally. The image of Trump throwing his fist in the air following the shooting has been described as one that will possibly define his 2024 presidential campaign. But let's just rewind a bit. Ahead of the Donald Trump assassination attempt, what was his would-be assassin, Thomas Crook, up to? Was he preparing for the assassination bid? How was the 20-year-old gearing up to carry out the assassination attempt? What really was on Thomas Crook's mind? Well, turns out we might have some answers. Yes, the would-be assassin is dead, but the answers continue to emerge. What was he searching for on his phone? on his computer. What was he up to ahead of the shooting? Reportedly, according to FBI Director Christopher Wray, the shooter searched for details of the John F. Kennedy shooting from his laptop. Yes, he searched about former President John F. Kennedy's shooting ahead of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Not just that, he also flew a drone in the area near the rally, approximately 200 yards from the stage. And when was this, you ask? Just 2 hours from Donald Trump taking the stage. 2 hours before Donald Trump went on. His would-be assassin was flying a drone, gearing up for the act. Can you believe that? And there's more, by the way. As per FBI's analysis of Thomas Crook's laptop, the shooter looked up how far Oswald was when he shot and killed Kennedy. So that's the extent to which he was preparing for the act. Those were the details he was noting and observing. By the way, the day he searched for this also happened to be the same day he signed up to be there for the rally. FBI Director Christopher Wray has also said that the search and comparison of distance for shooting was a search that's obviously significant in terms of his state of mind. That is the same day that it appears that he registered for the rally. This is what was happening in the days ahead of the attempted assassination, a moment that would change so much. The investigation team also has said that Crooks fired from his AR-style rifle around 8 times at Donald Trump, after which he was killed by a U.S. Secret Service sniper. So while these answers have emerged, there's a lot that still remains unanswered. The FBI is investigating the shooting as both an attempted assassination and as a potential act of domestic terrorism. Federal agency U.S. Secret Service's chief, of course, stepped down amid growing pressure over the lapse in the security arrangements during that rally. And the biggest question still remains: what was the motive for the shooting? What really led to it? While a lot has changed because of the shooting, Donald Trump clearly hasn't. In fact, just hours ago at a rally, he boldly declared that he will not be nice. He called Kamala Harris a far-right radical lunatic. This came just hours after it emerged that Harris was leading against Donald Trump, although by just 2 percentage points. This was the first poll after Biden endorsed Harris. But will it eventually be a Harris versus Trump contest? And is this the most polarizing election that America has ever witnessed? What does the November contest hold for the United States and its people? We now move on to Pakistan. This story is about the arrest of an aide to Osama bin Laden. The question is Pakistan trying to hide something? The conflicting narratives from Pakistan's Punjab Counter-Terrorism Department, CTD, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the United Nations, leaving a lot of questions to be answered. Let's just dissect the developments for you. First, the CTD in Pakistan last week claimed that their special forces conducted a major operation resulting in the arrest of Amin ul Haq, a key associate of Osama bin Laden, describing it as a breakthrough in their efforts to combat terrorism. Yes, I know the irony there is obvious. Pakistan combating terrorism. But back to the point. CTD DIG Usman Akram Gondal was quoted as saying that the arrest happened in Sarai Alamgir and that it was a significant achievement for the department. He claimed that Haq was planning attacks on important installations in Pakistan's Punjab province and was carrying banned literature. But hold on. The 15th report from the ISIL al-Qaeda Taliban monitoring team submitted to the United Nations Security Council on the 8th of July paints a different picture. As per this report, ul-Haq was caught during a routine border security check and not through an intelligence operation. The report further claimed that he was detained for illegal possession of weapons while crossing from Afghanistan into Pakistan. And this happened back in March 2024. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Pakistan has now claimed that it had informed the UN about this arrest in March, which is as mentioned in the report. So, who really is telling the truth here? Why is there a 4-month gap in Pakistan's narrative? Why did the UN report describe the arrest as a routine matter, while Pakistan painted it as a major victory? Now, this discrepancy raises crucial questions about Pakistan's transparency, also its intentions. Pakistan's conflicting statements suggest an attempt to conceal the truths. Why did they not immediately disclose Haq's arrest to the international community if it was such a significant breakthrough? Was there an effort to avoid international scrutiny? Moreover, why was Aminul-Haq, an al-Qaeda operative, carrying a Pakistani computerized national identity card with addresses in Lahore and Haripur? How exactly did he obtain this documentation? And what does that tell us about Pakistan? The world needs to know the truths about Amin-ul-Haq's arrest. The stakes are way too high for anything less than the complete truth. Shifting focus for now to Ukraine. The country has been waiting for F-16 jets for a long time, but now finally when the jets are arriving, a section of Ukrainians are afraid. You heard that right. Our next report telling you more.
A technological marvel, the F-16 Fighting Falcon is a formidable warbird with an impressive array of capabilities designed to potentially reshape battlefield dynamics. It is renowned for its agility and versatility. Ukraine has for long been making fervent appeals to its Western allies, seeking the addition of the F-16s among its own fighting air fleet. While the potential entry of F-16 sparks optimism in military circles, it is casting a shadow of apprehension among certain Ukrainian communities, particularly those housing strategic air bases. Nestled along the Sluch River, Starok Kostiantyniv's medieval charm belies its strategic importance. The town's proximity to a major airbase, home to the 7th Tactical Aviation Bridge, has already made it a target for Russian strikes. Now, amidst reports about the potential deployment of F-16s from Ukrainian soil, residents fear an escalation in attacks.
Of course, we welcome any help, and we understand that when accepting aircraft such as F-16s or any other help. But if all these weapons are located on our territory, in our town, this poses a certain threat to us as residents.
As Western allies, including Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway, pledge a combined fleet of approximately 80 F-16s, anticipation builds within Ukraine's military echelons. The prospect of establishing localized air superiority and enhancing border defense has ignited hopes of a strategic shift in the ongoing conflict. However, amidst the optimism, concern looms over the air bases housing these war machines.
Well, the Russians, let the fool rejoice on his own. I don't think they'll ever guess where the F-16s are, wherever they are.
Moscow has vowed to target the F-16s. Earlier this month, it showcased its resolve, hitting 3 Ukrainian airfields in as many days. Ukraine has not disclosed the exact deployment location for the F-16s. The anticipation surrounding the jet's operational impact is palpable. with hopes their introduction will shift the war's dynamics, compelling Russia to reconsider its aggressive tactics. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
India boasts of the biggest derivative exchange in the world, despite being 1/10 of America's market capitalization. Since COVID-19, Indians are busy investing in futures and options trading, a relatively new phenomenon that has taken the country by storm. The report comes into focus on the heels of the budget report from Prime Minister Modi-led new coalition government. Nirmala Sitharaman, in her budget, nearly doubled the tax on derivatives trading. This move comes amid concerns about rising participation of retail investors in the futures and options market, which involved high risks and has led to substantial losses for a large part of the society. Let's first tell you what exactly are futures and options. F&O contracts allow speculation on the future price of assets like stocks, commodities or currencies. And while they offer opportunities for profit, they also carry the potential for significant losses due to leverage. In the latest analysis by markets regulator, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, the number of unique individual traders in the futures and options segment of the stock market has skyrocketed. The numbers are an astonishing 4.5 million in financial year 2022 from just 710,000 in financial year 2019. And this marks a significant increase of over 500%. Notably, the most active age group was 30 to 40 years, representing 39% of the total traders. Additionally, participation by younger traders aged 20 to 30 surged to 36% in 2022 from just 11% in 2019. 88% of those traders were still actively trading, the majority of the participants being male, accounting for over 80% of those traders. Now, despite the surge in participation, a majority of those traders faced significant losses. In the year 2022, 89% of the traders incurred losses, with an average loss of $1,300. And among active traders, the figure rose to 90%, with average losses reaching $1,500. On the other hand, only 11% made a profit, with an average gain of $1,800. The data also reveals that the top 1% of active profit makers accounted for 51% of the total net profit, highlighting a significant concentration of the earnings among a small fraction of the traders. The report also sheds light on trading preferences and associated costs. The number of traders in index and stock options increased nearly 8 and 5 times respectively over 3 years. Transaction costs further burdened the traders, adding an additional 28% to their net trading losses. Interestingly, while female traders had a lower participation rate at 16%, their average profits and losses comparatively higher than their male counterparts. As they say in the market, you can make unlimited profits, but the problem really is you will not. And this calls for caution, especially for those who are new to the game of futures and options. There is a significant development in Afghanistan, a new chapter that intertwines geopolitics, economics, and history. Chinese engineers and the Taliban government commenced a groundbreaking project to mine the world's second largest copper deposit in Afghanistan. After a 16-year delay marked by war, this collaboration signals a shift in the region's dynamics. Our next report getting you the complete story.
Mas Ainak, located 40 kilometers southeast of Kabul, is estimated to contain a staggering 11.5 million tons of copper ore. Copper is crucial for electronics and has seen a significant price surge recently. Back in 2008, a $3 billion deal was signed, granting mining rights to a Chinese state-owned firm. However, the conflict between NATO-led troops and the Taliban halted any progress. Now, with violence subsiding since the Taliban's takeover in 2021, the new rulers of Kabul are eager to tap into Afghanistan's vast natural resources. Taliban officials, alongside Chinese diplomats and businessmen, celebrated the project's revival with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Excavators began constructing a road to the remote Mas Ainak site. Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs Abdul Ghani Baradar emphasized the urgency of making up for lost time with speedy work. The construction of the 9-kilometer road in Logar province is set to be completed early next year. Yet, it will likely take at least 2 years before the first copper extraction by the China Metallurgical Group Corporation. This project also intersects with Afghanistan's rich cultural history. Mas Ainak is home to archaeological relics from an ancient Buddhist settlement dating back between 1000 and 2000 years. The Taliban, infamous for destroying the Bamiyan Buddhas during the First Rule, have pledged to preserve such antiquities.
The transfer of all the artifacts, their preservation and working here to extract copper was a difficult job. But with the untiring efforts of the officials of Republic of China and the officials of Ministry of Mines and Petroleum, the Ministry of Information and Culture, and the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs of the Islamic Emirate, we reached an agreement that ensures that neither the artifacts are lost nor the extraction of copper is stopped.
Copper prices hit record highs in May, driven by the boom in electric vehicles, renewable energy sources like wind, turbines, and the rising demand for high power consuming data centers supporting artificial intelligence. China, which consumes over half of the world's copper, is keen to secure this valuable resource. The US Geological Survey estimates Afghanistan's untapped mineral wealth at a staggering $1 trillion. China's presence in Afghanistan has been notable. Analysts suggest this project is part of China's broader strategy to expand its influence and explore profitable ventures in Afghanistan. China's ambassador to Afghanistan, Zhao Jing, highlighted the growing economic and trade relations between the two countries during the ceremony.
The economic and trade relations between the two countries are becoming increasingly close, with bilateral trade exceeding $1 billion last year. So far, more and more Chinese corporate investors have expressed their intention to invest in Afghanistan.
Security continues to remain a significant concern in Afghanistan. Despite a reduction in violence, the Islamic State group has targeted foreigners in Afghanistan. Last year, gunmen attacked a Kabul hotel popular with Chinese businessmen, wounding at least 5 Chinese nationals. This mining project at Mas Ainak is more than just an economic endeavor. It's a complex tapestry of historical preservation, geopolitical strategy, and the quest for natural resources and influence. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Shifting focus for now, did you know that people with high levels of body fat stored in their belly or arms may be more likely to develop diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's as compared to those with low levels of fat in these areas? These astonishing findings were published in the online issue of Neurology, the medical journal of the American Academy of Neurology. The study included 412,691 participants between the ages of 40 and 70 who were followed for about 9 years At the beginning of the study, measurements were taken for body composition like waist and hip measurements, grip strength, bone density, and fat and lean mass. During the study, 8,224 participants developed neurodegenerative diseases, which included mainly Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and other forms of dementia. Researchers basically found participants with excess arm fat had an 18% greater risk of developing these diseases as compared to participants with low levels of arm fat, whereas participants with high levels of belly fat were 13% more likely to develop these diseases than those with low levels of belly fat. As per the study, the risk was slightly higher in men than women. It was noted that the only factor which decreased the risks among the participants was those with high muscle strength. The risk was lowered by over 25%. As per a previous research, it was found that those with higher levels of lean muscle mass, the risk of contracting the neurodegenerative diseases in them decreased. Now, what exactly is lean muscle, you might be wondering? Lean muscle is basically the difference between the total body weight and the body fat. While the neurology study researchers found inconsistent results on this factor, they suggested muscle quality could play a more important role in reducing risk than muscle quantity. The study found that people with a high level of muscle strength were less likely to develop these diseases than people with low muscle strength. According to the author of the study, Huan Song, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's affect over 60 million people worldwide, and the only way to prevent it is by modifying the risk factors to develop preventive tools. And these include improving body composition and reducing trunk and arm fat while promoting healthy muscle development. And these may be more effective for protection against these diseases than general weight control. How many of you believe in numerology? Well, many people in China do. They are also superstitious. People in China believe some numbers bring them good luck, while some are better avoided. The number 4, for example, the pronunciation of 4 in Cantonese or Mandarin is very similar to how the word death is pronounced. And as a result, in mainland China and also in Hong Kong, a lot of people avoid the number 4, be it from the number plates of their cars, or if they have the option of choosing their 4 numbers, many builders also avoid the number 4. Say the floor above the 3rd floor will be called 3A, followed by 5. It's the same for floors between 13 and 15, 23 and 25, so on and so forth. And then there are numbers that are highly coveted, like the number 8. In Cantonese and Mandarin, 8 sounds similar to fortune. So 8 is considered a lucky number. And if there is a double 8 or a triple 8, it's even better. It is believed to be double the fortune or triple. As per reports, in the year 2016, there was an auction for vehicle registration plates, and there the plate bearing the number 28 sold for 18.1 Hong Kong dollars. Any idea why the craze for 28? Because 2 sounds like easy, 28 sounds like easy fortune. The rider is, it only sounds like easy fortune. Whether the number really does the job, we don't know. Shifting focus to the world of sport now, the eyes of the world are firmly on Paris, and just a day is left for the opening ceremony. The world's best athletes will grace the greatest spectacle sport has to offer. We now get to a report on the 10 biggest global superstars to watch out for at the Paris Games. Take a look.
Arguably the most recognizable star at the Paris Olympics is none other than Rafael Nadal. The Spaniard will be competing in his last games. and fans will also see him alongside the new king of tennis, Carlos Alcaraz, as the duo will participate in the men's doubles event at Roland Garros. Nadal already has an Olympic gold to his name, and the Paris Games might be his last appearance at a big tournament. No men's player is likely to match Nadal's legacy on clay, but the queen of tennis, Iga Swiatek, is dominating the sport right now. The Pole won her 4th French Open title last month in Paris and is the favourite to win the Olympic gold at the very same venue. Athletics events at the Olympics are always highly anticipated. Reigning pole vault Olympic champion Mondo Duplantis is making it a habit of breaking his own world records, and the Swede is the overwhelming favourite to defend his title. Another athlete who has the world at her feet is Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. She is the reigning 400-meter hurdles Olympic champion and broke the world record just last month. Anything other than another gold will be a huge upset. McLaughlin's fellow American Simone Biles will be chasing redemption at Paris 2024. The greatest gymnast of all time pulled out of most of her events at Tokyo 2020, citing mental health concerns. But she is back and raring to go. Katie Ledecky is a 7-time Olympic champion, and the American swimming great is expected to add to that tally in Paris. She is the reigning Olympic champion as well as the world record holder in the 800-meter and 1500-meter freestyle. No Olympic event is complete without the world's most popular sport, and a legend of football will end a glittering 20-year-old career in Paris. Brazil's all-time leading goalscorer Marta will feature in her 6th Summer Games and will aim to bow out with a first Olympic gold medal. Table tennis icon Ma Long will get a shot at extending his Olympic record of 5 gold medals, but such is China's strength in the sport that the 2-time defending champion will not compete in the men's singles event. The 35-year-old, though, will be in action for China in the men's team event. Another great of racket sports will most likely play her last Olympic Games. 2016 Olympic champion Carolina Marin is one of the favourites for the women's singles badminton title. The Spaniard will be one of the main rivals for India's 2-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu. Basketball great LeBron James will have his last dance with Team USA at the Olympics. The 39-year-old leads the American Dream Team, who are favourites to win a 5th straight gold medal. Let the games begin. Sports Bureau, WION, World is One.
On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching.
wrong time for this team up.
As Deadpool and Wolverine hit screens, we tell you everything about the most awaited Marvel release. Meet Pakistani actor and Barzakh star Sanam Saeed. And find out some lesser-known facts about Jennifer Lopez as she celebrates her birthday. All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times only on WION E-Club.
Europe tries to nip the migration menace in the bud at a forum in Libya, with the Italian Prime Minister warning people facilitating what she termed desperation of the fragile North Africans. Cameroonian LGBTQ+ rights group praises the courage of Brenda Biya, the daughter of Cameroon's president, for announcing she is in a same-sex relationship on social media. And suffering frequent war-triggered 15-hour power outages, Sudanese people escaped to the beach as temperatures soar in the coastal city of Port Sudan. Wild of Africa at these times on WION. Wild is one.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
The quest for an Olympic medal is sport's greatest pursuit. Over 10,000 sportspersons are descending on Paris to realize their dreams.
The Olympics, it's a sweet way, but it comes with pressure.
The Olympic Games are the pinnacle of sport, and they demand sacrifices from both sportspersons and those covering it. I'm Digvijay Singhdeo, and I will be tracking the best in sport over the next 3 weeks from here in Paris.
Can India's sporting stars double their tally from Tokyo? Will new stars emerge, or will sport's big names maintain their stranglehold? Watch Gunning for Glory through the Paris Olympics at these times on WION.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I actually pushed myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.